They won the battle, but lost the war when it came to you. You are the kind of fighter that your opponent wasn't expecting. Your opponent thought you was going to lose after they made false allegations about who you were as a person that could have got you put behind bars and put a record on you for criminal court. Your opponent thought you were somebody that was a joke when they tried to plot to scheme on your life, when they kept sending you weird vibes by stalking your every move, making you out to be a nobody. You were the kind of person that they thought was going to be defeated easily, but you wasn't defeated easily. Matter of fact, you won. You won the war. You won the fight. You won the challenge. You won the psychological, mental game that they try to play against you. You won it because you was already psychologically equipped to handle this particular person. They thought that you was anybody. Just like a boxing match, when one opponent thought because they gave a lot of hits, exerted all their energy in boxing, and then the other person appeared like they were down and they were losing. And then they shook back up and then they got back in the game, put their head back in the game and just TKO'd the other person just with one strong hit, like Mike Tyson or Muhammad Ali for that matter. This is what they wasn't expecting from you. You didn't even need to get physical in this fight. Even though you could have, you literally won them off of pure mental. You literally won against your opponent off of pure knowledge about what they had going on, because you studied them. You studied your opponent because they were coming against you so much. You studied their patterns. You studied their ways. You studied who they were because they came at you with the level of foolishness. It could be a legal case where they tried to pin you for a crime that you did not do, that you did not commit. And they thought that they had you and they was going to run free, escape jail time, even though they were the one that did the act. Whatever they did, this criminalistic act, it could have been, forging bank accounts, stealing money, stealing people items. And because you were the one at the scene at that moment, at that time, they lied and said it was you because you was the last person there, but you didn't do any of this. You were just at the wrong place at the wrong time. But you figured out who did it because they kept coming for you in your area of expertise. They kept trying to be you. I'm picking up very much that the person wanted to be you. They want to steal your identity, steal who you were, like identity fraud, all that stuff, and then make you out to be the target, even though they're stealing your identity in order to have your life. But you were able to outsmart this person because you started backtracking your steps. You started really eyeing your spending habits and what you were spending. And you were able to track this person and who was trying to steal your identity by fraud and whatever it is that they were trying to accomplish. And you put a hold on your account. You did things to study. And they thought they had you figured out. Almost got you put in jail, but you wasn't there. If it ain't a situation of fraud, it's just somebody thought that you could just be played with. Somebody thought they can bully you and boss you around and treat you like you were nothing. They thought that if they came up to you and said anything out of the way to you, you were supposed to sit there and take it. Instead, you put this person in their place. So instead of them backing away from you and walking away, they decided to hit you, give you a slap. And what you did was turn around and Like I said, TKO, knocked out. Don't you touch me. Don't you put your hands on me. Don't you play with me. That's the energy you have for this person. And they was like, whoa, whoa. I thought you were an easy target. I thought I can hit you, slap you, punch you, do what I want to you, and you was going to sit around here and take it. And you said, no, don't play with me like that. I am not the one. If that's not the scenario, it could be another scenario where a person thought that they can just tell you what to do. And the reason why they want to tell you what to do because they didn't think you was smart, meaning you weren't intelligent to them. They thought because you wore certain outfits and because you spoke a certain language and because you was very quiet that you wasn't, intelligent or wise to deal with a certain task. And you showed this person that not only you were intelligent, but you know how to read between the lines. You know how to figure out the complex puzzle of the situation. You know how to figure out the hidden clues like a mystery. You knew how to do all that. You were like a detective. And this person couldn't figure out how you knew how to do all that. And you showed them. Not only were you intelligent, but you have this detective persona where you dig deep to find out the clues you need to find out regarding a situation or a particular case or something that's been dormant for years that nobody can figure out. You cracked that code and you figured it out, playing the detective role and knowing what you were doing. This is what your opponent wasn't realizing. They thought they was going to get that position, but instead you got it because you was the one that cracked that code. You was the one that found the hidden clues behind the crime scene or the investigation, like CSI shows on TV. You was able to find the criminal by using certain fingerprints and looking at certain items up in a room to show the crime and who actually did it, by digging deep, by seeing different things moved around the house, showing that there was a struggle going on somewhere. Yeah, somebody underestimated you about that. You use your mental state to be a fighter. And you was able to get this criminal put behind bars. If it wasn't something as serious as that, and yes, I had to talk about that because this really goes on in real life. We got to have people like that does this kind of work, because in that case, there would be a lot of criminals going free that shouldn't go free when they did a crime. So that's the work you do. And I'm proud if you do that type of work. It's a hard job, but if you do that type of work, God bless you. Because I know that's a hard job to take on. But your opponent is feeling very defeated because of who you are. They really thought because you were a woman in this scenario that you was not to be taken seriously. This person was a male that thought they was more intellectual than you because you were a woman. More like a male chauvinist. Women are only required to just be wives at home. They're not required to be out here and doing what they're called to do. The man is supposed to be out here, fighting evil. The woman is supposed to be at home with the children. But instead, you're the woman that God used to be in this situation where you're able to see things, use your ability, your prophetic ability to see things of the future, because the Holy Spirit gave you that gift. So you were the right person for the job and you were able to see things. But because this male looked at you like you were a woman, he thought you were nobody and that you didn't have these spiritual gifts, but you did. You had these spiritual gifts and you showed him out about his gifts, and he felt some type of way. Your opponent lost that because he thought because you was a woman, he can treat you any type of way. No, but he giving you your props now. You defeated a lot of people that thought you were supposed to be at the bottom and never rise to the top. You had people doubting you, saying that you was never going to be nobody, never going to be nobody great. And here you are showing people out. You proved your doubters wrong. You proved these people wrong by you being a fighter and you fighting for what you wanted and your name and for your position in this world. That's what you fought for. You were a true fighter. You said, I'm not going to keep acting crazy with people that just don't respect me. I'm going to show them. And you showed them you want to be played with. You showed them that don't underestimate a person like you just because they looking at you for your outside appearance. You show people that when you come against me, it's going to be one heck of a fight. And you're going to always remember that fight by the time I'm done with you. Y'all remember the movie Home Alone? Particularly the second one. Kevin, that was played by Macaulay Culkin. He had two robbing dumb criminals that wanted to rob during the holiday time of Christmas, that pagan holiday. And they wanted to rob and be the criminals they are. And I think particularly on the second one, they tried to rob the house, his house. And he said, this is my house. I have to defend it. Now, these were the same criminals from the first Home Alone. The second one, they remembered him. They was like, remember that kid? You remember him? He told the big doofus tall one, the short one, because he was the boss over the tall one, on who he was. So they grabbed him up. Then that night they tried to do something and he ended up getting them again on the second one. And by the time he was done with him, the tall one, when he kept throwing bricks at him, and then he ended up electrocuting him. He was doing all type of stuff on the movie. They was really and screaming, ah! You know, y'all remember that scene if you watch Home Alone, where they really underestimated the little boy Kevin. These two dumb criminals. They thought because he was a child and he was young that they can get him. But really, he was more of a fighter than them two put together. He was smart. He defended his home. He was even the reject of his own family. His family rejected him all the time. But he was the one that was a fighter. And that's normally how it would be. The weird, the odd one out, even in the family, is the one that's a fighter. And the one that got all that fighting ability. So Kevin was able to defeat them. And by the end of the movie, they was put in jail. And he defended his home once again for Home Alone 2. That movie is a great example of what you did. Your opponent really did underestimate you because they thought because of your outside appearance and how you looked and the person you were. Because you might come across a certain way. You wasn't a bully. You wasn't coming across like that. You were quiet in nature. You were subtle that they can do what they wanted to you. Boss you around. Treat you any type of way. But instead of you fighting physically, even though at times it gets physical, I'm not saying you're not a physical fighter, but you decided to use them against themselves mentally. You won the war because they thought they was going to defeat you in so many different areas to get you put under. But instead you came out on top because you beat this person or several opponents that came against you through different areas of your life. It could be a job, a career, like I said again, CSI, or it could be something where somebody came at you and wanted to take something from you and they thought you was going to be a pushover and you said no. It could be a scenario like that. Or just something dealing with detective work or something dealing with something complex where your mind have to think and you were able to defeat the opponent behind something and they thought they had you beat mentally and they didn't. They lost. And instead they got dealt with for the things they done, even though they tried to pin it on you in so many words. Different scenarios like that. You were always a fighter. You were always a winner. And your opponent just lost this final time. And they don't know what to do. Now, they learn to respect you after all that. They learn to respect your stance and who you were as a person, because they thought because they won that battle the first time that they really was going to win the war against you, and they lost big time. They lost. And you shining like never before, and they can't do nothing about that. And that's the prophetic message I got for a royal one. And until next time, bye bye.